My brother grinned, eyes gleaming. The house is ours now, he said, thanks to the cosigner. I'm glad it helped, I replied, voice steady. Then Mom leaned in and whispered, you shouldn't expect a room, it's their family home now. I stood there in the driveway, champagne bottle still in hand, the congratulatory ribbon brushing my wrist. Jaime's voice echoed in my ears, smug, victorious, the kind of tone someone uses when they've reaped rewards from someone else's labor. He said it again, like a punchline he couldn't resist, thanks to the cosigner. The same smile he used to flash to get out of detention or beg for extensions on college papers. It had always worked. I returned a polite smile, tight, professional, cold. I'm glad it helped, I said again. 2 years ago, I'd co-signed the mortgage when no bank would touch Jaime. Too many gaps in employment, too many overdrafts. He begged, his wife cried, my parents pleaded daily. Just help them get started, Mom said, you're good with money, Jaime just needs a chance. So I did it, cautiously. I paid a lawyer to look over the documents. Clause 14b gave me an exit, just in case. I never thought I'd need it. But kindness has an expiration date, especially when it's turned against you. Mom's words cut deeper than she probably intended. You shouldn't expect a room. No gratitude, no recognition, just a quiet dismissal from the very home I'd helped them secure. I handed Jaime the bottle and nodded while he and his wife disappeared inside, giving her cousin a tour of the gleaming kitchen. That night, while everyone else was posting backyard selfies, I sat in my car with the mortgage document open on my phone, scrolling, reading, pausing at clause 14b. In the event that the cosigner no longer resides or benefits from the property, they may issue a formal withdrawal of signature, provided the mortgage can no longer be sustained by the primary holders. My hands trembled as I drafted the email, subject, signature withdrawal request, clause 14b invocation. 3 days later, my phone lit up with Jaime's name. I let it ring. Then came the voicemail. The loan's in default, what the hell is going on? I smiled, typed one line in response, corrected a title error. His panic was familiar, the same voice from years ago, when he called crying at 24 because he blew through his student loans and needed rent money. That time, I wired $1,200 without a second thought. This time, I didn't reply. The phone buzzed again and again. Each vibration was a reminder of the times I cleaned up his messes, stayed silent, played the good son, the dependable one, the fixer. That's how it's always been. Jaime, the baby, the dreamer, the lovable disaster, always mid-reinvention, graphic designer 1 year, bartender the next. My parents called it exploring, I called it refusing to grow. Meanwhile, I worked full-time at 19, took night classes, bought a condo at 25, flipped it by 29, credit score, 812, I was stable, reliable, useful. So when Jaime asked for help with the house, I caved. The guilt always worked. It's just your name, they said. Not just, never just. I became the fallback. When payments were missed, and they were, the bank called me, not Jaime. They had reasons every time. The car broke down, daycare was expensive, the heater failed. We'll catch up next month, promise. Twice I covered the shortfall, quiet transfers. I never told them. I didn't want shame, or thanks. But that day, at the housewarming party I wasn't even formally invited to, I realized how deeply they'd erased me. I thought maybe Jaime would acknowledge me, offer a toast, something. Instead, I got a grin and a smug quip. Well, we made it, thanks to the cosigner. Then Mom whispered, you shouldn't expect a room. It hit hard, not just because I had partial ownership, but because I'd spent years being the dependable one without ever being seen. Christmases where I gave more than I could afford, birthdays where Jaime forgot mine, but I still showed up for his kids, promotions my parents ignored in favor of praising Jaime's potential. I remembered the $4,000 he blew on a failed hot sauce venture, the GoFundMe they used to buy a PlayStation, and the call last year, promising they'd finally grown up. I believed them. But that night, alone at my kitchen table, rereading the agreement, I saw clause 14b for what it really was, my parachute. And they'd just set the plane on fire. So I jumped. Sent the email, waited. Day 1, silence. Day 2, missed calls, vague texts. Day 3, 9:17 a.m., Jaime called, voice tight, shaky. You need to call the bank. They said the mortgage is unstable or something. I invoked Clause 14b. I said, "You'll need to refinance under your own credit." You can't do that." "I can." I did. Click. At 4:41 p.m. A text from Dad, "We may lose the house." I stared at it, let it sit. Then typed 3 words, "Not my problem." The fallout was quick and messy. By day 4, family group chats were on fire. Jaime's wife posted cryptic Instagram stories about betrayal and snakes in the grass. My mom called 4 times in an hour. I didn't answer any of them. On the 5th day, I finally picked up when Dad called. "Son," he said, his voice tight with exhaustion, "we need to talk." We met at a diner, neutral ground. He looked older, grayer, like the weight of a mortgage default had finally cracked the illusion that everything was fine. He slid into the booth across from me, stirred his coffee, no sugar, no cream, just bitterness. "I don't understand," he said after a long silence. "Why would you do this to your brother?" I leaned back in the booth, arms folded. "To him, or for myself? You knew they didn't have the credit. You co-signed knowing that. I also knew Clause 14b gave me an exit if I wasn't benefiting from the property, and Mom made it crystal clear, I wasn't welcome." That was taken out of context. I let out a sharp laugh. "No, Dad, that was the context. I was good enough to sign the loan, not good enough to have a room." He shifted, uncomfortable. "You should have come to us before doing something this drastic. You blindsided the whole family." I stayed calm. "You mean the family that didn't invite me to the housewarming? The family that praises Jaime for showing up and punishes me for setting boundaries? That family?" "You're being dramatic," he snapped. There it was, that familiar tone, like I was 17 again, asking why Jaime could skip chores while I shoveled snow in a windstorm. "No," I said quietly, "I'm being honest, and I'm done." He blinked, caught off guard. The silence sat between us like another person in the booth. Then I dropped the real bomb. "You know what's funny? I asked the bank for a copy of the current mortgage agreement." His brow furrowed. "They refinanced last year, didn't tell me." Page 2, line 3, borrowers, Jaime R., last name, Tara R., last name, cosigner, Liam M., last name. Still me. I slid the printed page across the table. His eyes scanned it, jaw tightening. "So, they refinanced without your consent?" "Which violates Clause 12A of the original agreement. They locked me in, again, without informing me. That's mortgage fraud." Dad paled. His hand hovered over the document like it might burn him. "You're not pressing charges, are you?" I tilted my head. "Should I?" "Come on, Liam, he's your brother. He's also a grown man who knew exactly what he was doing, so did Tara." He didn't answer, he just stared at the page like it might rewrite itself. "I didn't want this," I said, my voice softer, "but I won't be used anymore." Dad rubbed his temples. "Jaime's panicking, they won't qualify without you, they're going to lose the house." I met his eyes. "That's not my fault." Later that night, Jaime called. He didn't bother with hello, he went straight for the jugular. "You ruined us." "No," I said, "you ruined yourself." His voice rose, frantic. "We have a toddler, man. Are you seriously going to let your niece live in a motel?" "Don't talk to me about family," I said, calm but cold. "Not after you and Tara forged my name to refinance. I was your safety net, and you cut a hole in it." Silence, then a whisper. "We were just trying to build something. And I was trying to protect myself. Looks like we both succeeded." He hung up. That weekend, Mom showed up unannounced, tears in her eyes, casserole in her hands. Her version of an apology. "You really won't help them?" she asked, voice breaking. I opened the door just enough to meet her eyes. "Not with the house I wasn't welcome in." Her lip quivered. "It's not fair, you're better off, you don't have kids, you don't have." "Exactly," I cut in, "I don't have a family leaning on me because every time I tried to build one, you handed all my effort to Jaime." She looked down at the casserole. "I didn't know it was that bad." I nodded. "That's the problem." And I closed the door. The first thing I noticed after pulling my name from the mortgage wasn't the backlash. It was the silence. Not peace, at least not right away. It was the tense kind, like you're still bracing for impact, still expecting the guilt-laced texts, the calls disguised as concern. But for 2 days, nothing. And then came day 3. A voicemail from Jaime, angry, breathless. The bank says the loan's collapsing. Tara's freaking out. What did you do, man? You need to fix this, now. I didn't reply, didn't even flinch. Yes, part of me felt guilt. Years of being the fixer don't disappear overnight. But the louder part, the one that remembered the whispered rejection, the forgery, the decades of one-sided giving, felt something else. Relief. Then vindication. By week's end, I got the official notice from the bank. Because of the unauthorized refinance and the primary borrower's inability to qualify on their own, the mortgage was flagged for default. I was released from all liability. But the loan? Still theirs. The calls came fast. Jaime again, this time, begging. We have a baby, man, you can't just leave us like this. The bank said we're out of options. I texted back. Then you shouldn't have excluded the person who made it possible. No response. 2 days later, Mom returned, no warning, just a pie and a tired face. She didn't wait for an invite. You've made your point, she said, but is it worth destroying your brother's life? I tilted my head. Did he ask himself that when he committed fraud? She flinched. They hadn't expected I'd find out, that they'd been so sloppy, so sure I'd never notice. He was desperate, she said. So was I replied, desperate to stop being used. She placed the pie down, like it could change something. You were never used. I said nothing. I didn't need to. I walked to the shelf and pulled out a file folder, setting it on the table beside the pie. Inside, copies of every transfer, every check, every mortgage payment I made on their behalf, 8 years worth. Total, $67,400. I met her eyes. Then what would you call this? She stared at the list, at the dates, the amounts, the sheer weight of it all. Then she looked at me, said nothing, just left. After that, the silence returned. But this time, it was different. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. The buzzing anxiety that used to live in my chest like a squatter, it started to move out. I could breathe again. For the first time in over a decade, I began living for myself. I moved. Upgraded to a 1-bedroom downtown, nothing extravagant, but it had tall windows and soft morning light. A place that was entirely mine, every square foot earned, every decision made for no one but me. I started doing small things I hadn't done in years, reading for pleasure, cooking actual meals, saying no without guilt or explanation. Meanwhile, Jaime and Tara moved into a rented duplex in a less shiny part of town. Through a mutual friend, I heard their credit was wrecked, that they fought often, that Jaime picked up 2 part-time jobs just to stay afloat. I didn't gloat. But I didn't feel sorry, either. I felt free. One day in early spring, I received a letter, handwritten, no return address. It was from Tara's sister. You probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted to say thank you. Not just for helping them buy that house, but for finally standing up for yourself. You were the reason they had that roof to begin with. And the reason they lost it is because they took you for granted. I hope you're doing okay. Just wanted you to know, some of us noticed, and some of us understand. I kept that letter. It sits on my bookshelf, tucked behind a photo from my college graduation. A day my family skipped, because Jaime wasn't feeling well. Somehow, that letter means more than any thank you I ever got from my own blood. Because this was never just about the house. It was about reclaiming power. It was about burning the bridge before they dragged me into the river with them. It was about finally saying enough, and meaning it. It's been over a year since I pulled my name off that mortgage. Since I stopped playing the silent savior in a family that confused sacrifice with obligation. And I've never been more certain, I did the right thing. At first, the quiet felt unnatural. I was used to chaos, late-night calls, emergencies that weren't mine but became mine anyway. I had forgotten what my own life sounded like when I wasn't constantly putting out someone else's fires. But now? Now I know peace. Real peace. I live in a modest but beautiful space. Not big, not flashy. But it's mine, every inch earned. The furniture is chosen with care. The space is clean. The silence is sacred. No kids running through the hall uninvited. Number 11 p.m., calls asking for favors wrapped in guilt. Just stillness. And for once, I don't confuse it with loneliness. I've learned to enjoy my own company. I read. I journal. I walk in the evenings, listening to old songs I'd forgotten I loved. Sometimes I sit at the cafe on the corner with a cup of coffee, watching life move around me, and I realize I'm part of the world again. Not just a pillar holding up someone else's collapsing house. That house, the one Jaime and Tara lost, was auctioned off last winter. They had to move before Christmas. They now rent a cramped two-bedroom off the highway, far from the suburban dream they once flaunted. I didn't celebrate. But I didn't mourn, either. Actions have consequences. And for once, I wasn't the one cushioning the fall. My parents tried to pull me back in. Generic holiday texts, "We miss you. It's been too long." A voicemail from Dad, "Jamie's doing better now. Maybe it's time we all moved past this." But no apologies. Not for the pressure. Not for the manipulation. Not for choosing Jamie's comfort over my well-being, over and over again. They didn't want reconciliation. They wanted amnesia. But here's the thing. I was the bigger person for years. And it almost broke me. Being the bigger person doesn't mean staying in a system that drains you. It doesn't mean handing over your peace, your money, yourself, just because you share DNA. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconnection. Sometimes, it looks like silence, distance, closure that happens without witnesses. I've forgiven Jaime, but I'll never trust him again. I've forgiven my parents, but they'll never again get the chance to silence me. The people I keep in my life now, friends, coworkers, chosen family, they see me not as a wallet, not as a safety net, not as a background character in someone else's drama. They know me as a man who survived something heavy and chose not to carry it anymore. I've started painting again, just for myself. One canvas hangs across from my desk, shades of blue and gray, brushed with gold. I call it Clause 14B. Every time I look at it, I remember the moment I sent that email. Not out of rage. Out of clarity. It was the moment I chose myself. And in a world that teaches us to set ourselves on fire to keep others warm, choosing yourself is a revolution. If you ask me what the hardest part was, I won't say the backlash. Not the yelling, not the guilt. It was unlearning the lie that love means saying yes until you disappear. It was rebuilding a self that wasn't built on being useful. And now, I live by a different code. I help, when I can. But not at the cost of my sanity. I show up, where I'm respected. I give, without obligation. I love, but not blindly. A few weeks ago, I got a message on Facebook from someone I hadn't seen since high school. "I saw what happened with your brother. I remember how people always dumped things on you, and you just took it. It's good to see someone finally stand up. You look lighter." She's right. I am lighter. Because I stopped carrying what was never mine. And if you're reading this, wondering if it's finally time to draw that line, to walk away, to protect your peace, to choose yourself, let me say this. You are not selfish for saying no. You are not cruel for having limits. You are not wrong for refusing to drown in someone else's storm. Sometimes, choosing yourself isn't betrayal. It's rescue.